hopefully going live about a half hour late this morning. I apologize for being late. It's one of those Tuesday things where we do our shopping. Anyway, here we are, and going through the holy day period, the high holy day period of Thelema, and we've gotten past the supreme invocation, or the invocation of Horus, that took place on the 19th and the 20th. We've gotten over Crowley's enthusiasm of the reaction to the invocation, and now we're getting into the down part, the reaction, the inevitable disappointment, the postpartum reaction of a ritual. But he and Rose in Cairo are still busying themselves and with this stele of revealing and other magical things that Crowley doesn't seem to have recorded very well. And but he tried to put things to gather his thoughts as best as possible when he compiled the Equinox of the Gods. And for this period of time, I'm going to share what he'd written to give us a little idea of what he and Rose may have been up to during this period. Now, it's going to get more exciting here in a few days when it actually comes to the writing or the dictation of the Book of the Law, April 8th, 9th, and 10th. But for now, there's this period of time where they're in their hotel room, honeymoon suite. Honeymoon's been long. Rose is trancing out, and Crowley's finding it fascinating and frustrating at the same time. Let's see here where I was going to pick up. Okay, Crowley said the events leading up to the writing of the book. I'll summarize them from Equinox 1, Volume 7. So he sort of backs up here a little and gives us a date-by-date review from his memory. March 16th tried to show sylphs to Rose. She was in a dazed state. Stupid. Now, I don't think stupid, as in stupor. Okay. That's what he meant. I don't think he was calling Rose stupid. Well, perhaps he was, because here's what he goes on to say. She was in a dazed state. Stupid, possibly drunk. Now, can you imagine other prophets? Can you imagine Joseph Smith, say, or Muhammad writing in their diary prior to the revelation of the Book of Mormon or the revelation of the Quran, saying, my wife that night was in a dazed state, stupid, possibly drunk. This is one of the reasons I love Thelema. Okay, backing up. She was in a dazed state, stupid, possibly drunk, possibly hysterical from pregnancy. That was very understanding. She could see nothing, but could hear. She was in a fiercely excited She was fiercely excited at the messages and passionately insistent that I should take them very seriously. I was annoyed at her irrelevance and her infliction of nonsense upon me. She had never been in any state even remotely resembling this, though I had made the same invocation in full in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid during the night which we spent there in the previous autumn. March 17th. More apparently nonsensical messages, this time spontaneous. I invoke Thoth, probably as in Liber 64, and presumably to clear up the muddle. March 18th. Now remember, we've gone through these dates before, reading other notes that he had concerning them. March 18th. Thoth evidently got clear through to her, for she discovers that Horus is addressing me through her and identifies him by a method utterly excluding chance or coincidence and involving knowledge which only I possessed. Some of it arbitrary, so that she or her informant must have been able to read my mind as well as if I had spoken it. And these are all the tests that we talked about a few days ago. Then she challenged to point out his image, passed by many such to fix on this one, the stele. The cross-examination must have taken place between March 20th and 23rd. So he was cross-examining her about this time. March 20th. Success in my invocation of Horus by breaking all the rules at her command. This success convinced me magically and encouraged me to test her as above mentioned. I should certainly have referred to the stele in my ritual had I seen it before that date. I should fix Monday, March 21st, for the visit to the Bullock. Yesterday. Between March 23rd and April 8th, the hieroglyphs on the stele were evidently translated by the assistant curator at the Bullock, into either French or English. I'm almost sure it was French, and versified as now printed by me. Between these dates, too, my wife must have told me that her informant was not Horus or Rahur-Kuit, but a messenger from him named Aiwas. I thought that she might have faked his name from constantly hearing Aiwa, the word for yes in Arabic. She could not have invented a name of this kind, though. Her next best was to find a phrase like balmy puppy, or okay, so he's going back to ridiculing Rose. She could not have invented a name of this kind, though. Her next best was to find a phrase like, quote, balmy puppy for a friend, or corrupt name like Newberg into an obscene insult. She must have said nasty things about Victor Newberg. Anyway, the silence of my diaries seemed to prove that she gave me nothing more of importance. I was working out the magical problem presented to me by the events of March 16th through 21st. Any questions that I asked her were either unanswered or answered by a being whose mind was so different from mine that we failed to converse. All my wife obtained from him was to command me to do things magically absurd. He would not play my game. I must play his. And that's where we will leave it today. I know it was short and I know it was late. But it's Tuesday. The weather has turned great here in Sacramento. It was 81 degrees at our house yesterday. It has literally turned from freezing in the morning to 80 degrees in the afternoon. But anyway, tomorrow we will be back to discuss more of the events between the invocation of Horus and the writing of the Book of the Law. Also, I want to discuss something about magic itself. I've been getting many questions. My whole life, I've gotten questions about why magic doesn't seem to work, and people saying I did this magic and I've cast this spell, or I've done this magic event for the purpose of such and such being done. And it doesn't seem to work. My magic isn't working. Well, I will tell you in no uncertain terms, without hesitation, equivocation, or mental reservation of any kind, that your magic is working. Your spells work. Your charms work. And if you have to ask, is my magic working? You are just not observing your magic at work. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.